Hey everyone, Vince here from the Level Podcast, episode 44. This week we're going to talk about Kenobi, our thoughts about the show, the things we don't like. We may go into a couple other things, and I know at the end we're going to discuss our feelings on the new Turtles game, Shredder's Revenge. So we hope you enjoy. So let's get into it, guys.
All right, so what are we talking about tonight?
So we can either do the movie stuff with music, or just music in general. We could do...
What do you think, David? You look like a deer in the headlights.
I've been trying to cram a lot of shit in my head and get caught up at work over the last week and a half. So
yeah, I get it.
I mean, I just finished Stranger Things a couple days ago. If y'all have caught up on that yet?
I still haven't seen it.
Up on that, I'm caught up on Kenobi. I'm not happy about what they're doing.
I still haven't watched that either. I have watched Ms. Marvel though.
You're watching the one of all the shows, right, that have come out in the last handful of in the last month. Ms. Marvel is the one that has been the most just null in terms of anyone talking about it whatsoever. I've heard people talking about Kenobi, the good, the bad. A lot of people have really dug this season of Stranger Things.
Oh yeah,
I have not heard any buzz, any mention, and I completely forgot Ms. Marvel even came out.
It's only 2 episodes in. The new one comes out Wednesday, but I like it. I enjoyed Moon Knight. I was like, okay, this is kind of doing justice. Okay, this is kind of weak. But I like the fresh perspective that Ms. Marvel has given up. Okay, it's the new teenage perspective instead of the Peter Parker thing. But
this is why I probably will never watch it.
Yeah, the changes that they made from her Inhuman origin to the cosmic origin that they're going with, there's clearly a way. They're going a lot with the cosmic stuff, and it's a lot of bracelets and everything. They're obviously on a path, but it's actually really good. She's I forget. I don't even know how to pronounce her name, but Iman Vala. I don't know, but she's really good. She can carry the show, and they've got a good character character set. They've got some decent storytelling going on. It's origin story. It's building, but it's actually entertaining. I've enjoyed watching it again. It's got me roped back into Marvel a little bit more. So
yeah, like what you said, right, with Moon Knight, it was like, I don't know. I feel like I'm consistently getting suckered with a lot of these shows where it's like I'll go in, I'll sit, I'll watch, and like 2, maybe 3 episodes in, I'm like, you know what, this is doing okay. This is doing all right. I'm kind of liking where they're going. I'm kind of seeing where it's progressing to, and then it'll hit about the midway point of the show in a lot of these cases, and then it falls off the rails.
Yeah,
that's what happened with Moon Knight, where it just thought, like, Oscar Isaac and all his acting was great whenever he goes into the afterlife and is dealing with all that nonsense. It was like that was like his acting was really good, but there was
he was good.
There was a lot of parts of what was going on there where I'm like, y'all probably could have made a whole season about just this part of him, like, coming to grips with this and all this stuff. So y'all rush this other stuff, and this happened, and those people are dead now, and that just happened, and he just did this. Now that it's like they
rushed it. The second half of it was rushed.
They're just throwing everything they can against that wall, and I'm like, look, how about you take your foot off the gas for just a minute and like focus in on some of this stuff, right? Like, same thing with Kenobi. It was like some of 3 episodes in, I was like, all right, there's some stupid shit in here, but that's fine. I'm willing to roll with it. Overall, the feel of the show is okay. And then I don't know. It's like I was expecting them to do. I was hoping they would do something a little bit more interesting than what they've been doing, and it's just it's like they start what's a good way of putting it? It reminds me of an interview that I think they did. I forget who it was with Naughty Dog, and they were talking about the development of the Uncharted series. Right, I think it was right before Uncharted 3 came out. They were kind of going into the details about how they went about the process of making those games, and basically their process was they would come up with the big puzzle set piece things. Right, it's like they would go into a room and they would say, okay, what's the next thing we want Nathan Drake doing? We want him hanging out of a cargo plane with a bunch of shit flying out of space and he's got to climb back up in it. And like, all right, cool. What else do we want him to do? And they would come up with a couple set pieces. And then after they had set pieces, then they would build the story out around it. Right. Mm-hmm. And it feels like that's what a lot of these folks are doing. It's like, okay, I've got a really cool idea. I want them to do this. It's like, all right, great. And then they go, oh yeah, but I also want them to do this and this and this and this. And then they come together and they kind of squeeze it together in this story.
Right.
The new
linkage sucks.
Yeah. The new Jurassic Park movie, exact same problem. It's like they just needed to get to the next dinosaur set piece as they went on, when the overall narrative to what was going on was kind of dumb. I mean, it's, Jurassic Park's not Shakespeare, but even by Jurassic Park even by the low standards of the bad Jurassic Park movies, it was like, so the villain is Monsanto via Apple.
What?
All right then. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I was like, okay, I guess. And I'm sitting there, I'm waiting for them to go, and then it just. I was trying to explain to the other day, one of the reasons why the original Jurassic Park is so great is because you can sit down and explain to someone in less than 5 minutes what that movie's about, right?
Right.
They make dinosaurs in the modern age. A guy's trying to steal the genes for the dinosaurs to sell them on the black market to make money, shuts down power, nonsense ensues.
Yeah.
That's there's Jurassic Park for you, man. This one, I don't know if I could
40 seconds.
Yeah, like this Jurassic Park movie, I don't know if I can explain. There's 8 plot threads going on and none of them make total sense. It's like I would have to sit here and try and rack my brain for half an hour to try and remember, what was the weird little clone girl doing? What was the point of her? Why did they go capture Blue's kid? What's going on? It just, there's so much random stuff. Granted, they gave each party something to do. It's not like Millie Bobby Brown in Kong vs. Godzilla, but man, it was too much crap trying to keep track of as you're going along, and you're just sitting there going, okay, oh, that's right, they're going after that. I completely forgot that was a thing in this movie because they were so busy over here on this thing, and then they focus on that for 5 minutes and then they're back over. It's scattershot, man. It really is feeling like people they don't know how to write out and pace stories anymore.
Well, so going into Star Wars, and I'm not going to give a whole lot of spoilers, but
spoiler away. Let's do it.
I'm afraid. I'm really afraid what's going to happen with this 6th episode, because I just heard reports that they're reshooting it.
Oh,
but they're going to let this one ride, whatever happens. But they're gonna re-release the episode later on this year. That's going to be corrected. That'll be the true. And I'm like, why? Why would you do that? Why can't you just edit it and then do like part 2, whatever? Because. Dude,
yeah, make it 7. Why not?
Deborah Chow's been let go. The writer of this has been let go. This dude the writer had never seen Revenge of the Sith, and is a fan of The Last Jedi. And he wrote the story to have parallels to The Last Jedi.
Wow. I really hate that. I really hate that they're bringing in writers who don't know the source material or the history.
Well, it's because it doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter to these people.
It doesn't matter to them.
What was it last episode that I talked about, or was the one before, where like the Halo TV series, all the new Star Trek stuff, right? All these people are doing is coming in and they're wanting to write their generic, boring sci-fi story.
Their fan fiction.
It's not even fan fiction half the time. It's just, I want to tell my story about whatever this bullshit is, but I don't want to use any of the characters. I don't really want to use any of the backstory. I don't want to use anything that's existing. I want to tell what's my story, but I'll just dress it. I'll do a find all, replace in a couple spots and add in a couple keywords to make it Star Trek or Doctor Who or Halo or Star Wars or whatever. And then they put that little wrapping on it and they ship it out there and they're like, hey, y'all are going to go like this, right? Like, no, because it's crap. Like, well, you're torpedoing tons of history. And there's a handful of people that I've heard say that they think that Disney's doing this on purpose so they could go and remake the original trilogy. And I'm like, that's the death knell. They want to go, if you go that far with it, it's over. Like if you go try to remake the original trilogy, you're done. You are.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This is because Kathleen Kennedy still has reigns over Kenobi. This is her last show.
Yeah.
Besides the Acolyte, which probably is not going to see the light of day after this massive mess. Colin, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
How evil was Darth Vader?
Darth Vader was man, he was the iconic bad guy.
What happens when you failed him on doing a task?
He gave you the choke.
He warns you.
He choked you out, man. He was S&M all the way, man. His whole life, man.
He would. Well, okay, so tell me why there's a character that gets force choked because he's like, I'm tired of your nonsense. I'm gonna kill you.
You failed me.
You failed me. You're going to die. And then she goes, I put a tracker on the ship, and he lets her go. Really? This Darth Vader we're talking about, right?
So my favorite so far meme of Vader killing but not killing this person is, man, Qui-Gon Jinn must have been a bitch, because you've had what, 2 characters in this show alone get stabbed
in the same spot,
somewhere in the torso, like somewhere in the upper body with a lightsaber. And they must like immediately get chunked in a Bacta tank, like some supercharged Bacta tank, because a couple episodes later, it's fine. They're walking off. Qui-Gon Jinn gets stabbed in the gut one time, and that man's done.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, whatever. Hey, you got stabbed by. Hey, I'm real sorry about that. I didn't mean to stab you with a lightsaber.
How do you
go rub some dirt on it, and you'll be fine.
How is she gonna get off the planet?
Some tussin.
How is she gonna get off the planet?
Because there's a ship somewhere.
All right, I'm gonna wait till
puts herself out into space and to Tatooine.
Yeah. Because she's
with a hole in her chest that's carterized. Literally, hole in her chest that's carterized all the way through.
There you go. See, look, you just explained it. That's why she's fine, because it carterized it. She's not internally hemorrhaging. She's not, lose the function of any.
It didn't hit any internal organs where maybe she just can't bypass food or anything.
Right.
And it just builds up into her stomach and stuff.
No. See, look, man, this is it. All right, so she's been trained this entire time. It's the biggest double cross in film history, right? It's you thought she was actually going after Ben, but then it turns out she's not going after she's going after Obi, but no, she's not really going after him. She's going after Vader through him. And then she's actually not going after Vader through him. She actually is going after him, but she's going after him through Vader to him. And so it's Vader like used the Force to spread apart her organs at the last minute to drive it through to
he's like use the Force. All right, I'm gonna spread it apart and then just stab through so that way you don't get killed and you can be plot armored to have.
Yes. Right. That's 100%, man. See, it's going to be genius. We're going to get to this last episode and it's going to blow everyone away. It's going to be fantastic. Everyone's going to get to it. It's you're just going to hear in the homes across America, you're going to hear these little wet pops everywhere. It's going to be everyone's heads exploding.
And what's going to happen is David's going to be at home watching this, and he's going to hear this scream in the distance, and he's just going to see this beam of light because Vince just went Super Saiyan because he's angry how bad the show went. So
I'm waiting until the next one. I'm gonna binge the whole season.
So
I can't.
Okay.
I'm curious what it'll be like binging it, because like honestly, sitting around and letting each episode of this show kind of marinate after a while, you start thinking, like, even if you're okay with it at the upfront, like I said, those first couple episodes, I was like, this is fine. And then I think back to it, I'm like, that chase scene was really, really bad. I just keep coming back to, that was way dumber than I thought at the time. Like, as I think about it some more, I'm like, wait, them doing X didn't make any sense at all. And then I think about it further, I'm like, but how did, no, that, it's just like plot hole after plot hole after plot. Just, man, there are stakes through this thing.
I'm like, hold on.
Wow.
All right. So there's a moment. So I have to say that episode 5 is one of the better episodes. And that's sad because, we get this moment where, Vader just walks in like a badass, and he goes like this and just grabs the ship, pulls it down like he's Starkiller, rips open that thing to look and see that there's no one inside, and then they blast off another ship. Really? Vader's already pissed the fact that you deceived him. He would have grabbed that one too and threw it down as well, and probably crushed it. I'm sorry,
dude,
this is Vader.
I want the fan edit. I want the fan edit.
That's
of that
right.
Moment where he does exactly that, right? Where it just grabs, pulls it down, rips it apart. There goes the other one. Nope. Grabs that one, pulls it down, rips it apart. Who is it? The Corridor crew, right? They're the ones that do all the, like, they take stuff and they make the Avengers R-rated and all that. I need them to get on that and do what should have happened in that episode and make it R-rated and just have
animate
everyone out and then just liquefy them with the Force.
I mean, like,
let's animate it.
You put two of the most important characters in danger that have no ties. Bail Organa would be like, hey, my daughter's missing, and would have put it to the Senate.
Yes.
Palpatine would have told him to bring that daughter back because it's putting pressure on the other senators. I can't have this. Vader, put a stop to this.
And hold on. And what makes it even better is, dude, Organa is such a dumbass in this series.
Oh, yeah.
How does the Empire not know that he's with the Resistance at this point? How do they not know?
Technically, there is no resistance at the moment. This is
True.
a ragtag group of people that are like, oh, well, I don't like what's going on.
It took Reva 2 seconds to be like, oh, if I go capture this chick, I'll pull Obi out of hiding. How? How do you know that?
Exactly. Hold on.
If she knows that, how does no one else know that?
Oh, yes, exactly. True. Very true.
Because didn't they explain like she somehow put it together through the Jedi archives or something like that? It was like, okay, if it's in the archives, are you telling me
how the hell was Luke and Leia in the Jedi archives when
exactly
the Empire had them? They were born after the Empire took over.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense.
And Obi-Wan and Yoda decided there was no mention of them in the archives whatsoever. They decided to hide the children.
I've already had this argument too. It is established lore. A Jedi cannot cut themselves off from the Force. It takes other Force-sensitive users to do that to another Jedi.
Right.
That is established.
But more than that, so Obi's sitting there trying to say, hey, Luke needs to be trained. But how are you going to train him?
Yeah, how are you going to train him? Exactly.
If you don't have the Force and you don't have your lightsaber, like, again, it's like they started with an idea. They wanted to have these little bitty moments, and then they just crammed it all together, giving no forethought to, hey, maybe we need to spend some time. Like, maybe Obi does go through that moment, right? That man, I'm really in a dark place and all this stuff.
10 years?
Uh-huh.
You think maybe like the first 2 years? Man, I kind of regret this, but you know what? I understand the higher goal because I've learned how to commune with Qui-Gon Jinn. I talk to Yoda on the regular basis, so I'm not alone and like isolated. You know, I don't understand how like you can write a story and not understand the fucking lore. I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about Star Wars, and this is shit writing. It is ridiculous. There's things that are in this show that undermine everything that has been established and what goes on later on. Leia never met Ben. She literally tells Obi-Wan, "You served my father in the Clone Wars," on the hologram.
It's just because she was keeping the whole thing on the down low. She didn't want to like openly.
Oh no. That's
in case it got caught.
That's bull. That is so bull, man. Because I mean, you're smiling, but it's funny. I've had this discussion with quite a few of my friends lately, and I enjoy it. I'm having a good discussion, but it's like this is like, look, I'm sorry, Disney or Kathleen Kennedy, I'm not gonna eat your shit branded bag of cat shit that has Star Wars on their box that says it's Star Wars cereal just because it's fucking Star Wars. No. That's not why I like Star Wars. And you have Obi-Wan can't even like save himself. You know?
Right.
Other characters are doing it. It's ridiculous.
No.
And then what really put the icing on the cake here lately, right? Because not only have you had everybody railing against Star Wars, you've had all the people that are really upset with Rings of Power, right? And everything going on with that. And then you had George R.R. Martin come out and be like, how come people don't like things that they like anymore? It's like, because it's not the thing. It's not the thing that was liked anymore.
Yeah,
they've taken the thing, they killed it, they hollowed out its corpse, and now they're stuffing it with their things and telling us it's the same, and it's like it's not. And it's not. And again,
Great
it's
call.
like I don't need it to be the same thing every single time, but you need to be respectful of the
respectful of the fan base. You need to be respectful of the
That's a good call, David.
The legacy of what was established. The reason why we enjoy this media. The sad thing is you have a person in power that luckily is going to be completely out. And with what's going on with Bob Chapek and him like telling Kathleen Kennedy that if Indiana Jones is not successful, she's gone. There's no hesitation. She's gone. So that totally, luckily, hopefully, I'm praying here that this takes out the whole thing of having Indiana Jones die and then killing off young Indiana Jones and then making Phoebe Waller-Bridge Indiana Jones.
Man, come on. That's the winning strategy. She knows it in her bone. Look, all this other stuff, it wasn't her fault. This idea for Indiana Jones, it's a winner. It's what's going to put her back on top. She's just got to stay the course. It'll be good.
It's great. The ultimate fan fiction, man. It's like, all right, I love this series so much. I'm going to write myself in. Then I'm going to secretly kill all the main characters. And then I'm going to be the hero. Then the show's about me now.
If Indiana Jones 5 sucks, I'm going to go to her house and knock on her door and slap her.
It's so bad, man. I'm like, I don't understand.
I just can't have it.
I can't understand how it like these are like, for lack of a better term, these are our fables. These are our, these things like Star Wars. This is
part of my life, man. And part of what my growing up, my history, my enjoyment. And if seeing these characters twisted and broken and remolded to somebody else's shape, growing up saying, these are my people, these are my characters, this is the things that I want to pass on to my kids. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Star Trek to a degree. And to have one person go, fuck it. It makes me want to go knock on her door and say, just no. You go to your room and you think about what you've done.
The one thing about like Star Wars is so great, and like this, a lot of these old things we enjoyed, is it broke boundaries. It wasn't just like, oh, this is for one demographic or race. It's for everyone. You talk about like anyone. Let's talk about Indiana Jones. Holy shit, I've watched Indiana Jones. Raiders of the Lost Ark is my favorite, or Temple of Doom, whatever. And it's like, there's no like, it wasn't about representation. It was about the story. You go there to like literally turn your brain off and go on an adventure. I don't understand why we have to go and just mess with things.
Right. When
we could have, like, literally, there is a roadmap of what they could have done with Star Wars that spanned for 20 years or more.
So, I mean, look, even if they wanted to go the Kathleen Kennedy route of we're going to ditch all the expanded universe and we want to start from new with our new trilogy, right? Like Force Awakens was not an awful movie. It was A New Hope reskinned with some familiar faces and some stuff going on. What made it bad was the fact that they never like Finn, right? Finn, one of the more interesting characters that they introduced in this new trilogy, and they did absolutely nothing with him. They gave him nothing to do. The Last Jedi turned him into a walking, talking gag, just a joke, the entire thing. And they ruined his character in that second movie. Like they built up a little bit of interest and they gave him these little bitty moments in the first movie.
They made him a coward.
And then they completely crapped all over him in the second one. And then they tried to bring him back in the third, but by then the damage is done, right? The Last Jedi damaged so much of all of these new characters they were trying to introduce. Poe is he was this brash.
He's Wedge Antilles.
And then they clip his wings for the entire second movie. And it's like, okay, so he's just sitting on a ship talking to people, trying to figure out how to get back out there, figure out what's going on. So like that was really the biggest sin of The Last Jedi, was the fact that it just, Rey didn't need to have some deep connection with one of the, families or whatever, but she needed to have something more interesting than her standing in a cave with multiples of herself, snapping her fingers, and then all of a sudden being up with Luke. When Luke's sitting there telling you, hey, don't go down in that cave because it's really dangerous, I'm expecting her to go down there and fight something worse than Vader. And then whenever you give me just her standing in an infinite line of herself, that's stupid. It's stupid as shit. And it doesn't explain anything of what she learns or what she comes out of it. So that was the worst thing about Jedi. The Last Jedi was it completely blew away any kind of interest, any kind of development. It wasted a whole movie where you could have spent actually developing these characters, and it screwed it all up. And then we had the third movie trying to do damage control, and you can't do damage control like that with these kinds of movies. It's gone. You lost. And so they took these characters that could have been interesting and just screwed them over 7 Ways to Sunday. And so now you're stuck with the bed that you created. Happy birthday.
No growth. There's no growth, man. There's no growth of these characters. There's no time in between the episodes. Literally, they're back to back. Other than like The Rise of Skywalker, there's a bit of time. But, Luke took 3 days to train her, which he didn't even train her. He said that he was going to show her the reasons why he feels the Jedi should end. Or lessons that he was going to teach her.
Yeah.
And then, she's this badass now that can go toe to toe with Imperial Royal Guards. Are you serious? Guys that have been training since they've been kids? That's like, me putting my son who's not trained up against a Green Beret and expecting him to take out the Green Beret, let alone 5 or 12 of them.
Oh my God.
Hold on.
Yes. Yes,
Like-
that is a beautiful example.
You want to talk? Look, Vince, everybody knows, right? If you're not Jedi and you're not Sith and you don't have a name in the Star Wars movies, you're just a jobber. So Imperial Guards, Stormtroopers, the random rebel fighters standing around like idiots in the middle of the forest being shot at. They're not trained fighters. They're not good. I mean, look at how many times they have to shoot at each other to finally hit the broadside of a barn. You want to talk about guards? Great. No, man, they're garbage. That's why she was able to take them all out, trained since they were kids. What were they training doing? Clearly not shooting because they're garbage at it.
Okay, then what about Snoke with I know you're joking, man, but still, what about Snoke?
Snoke.
What about
Snoke
Snoke?
was a joke.
That whole thing was a joke, man. He could literally, in The Last Jedi, he literally grabs Hux from across the galaxy and smacks him into the bridge of the that Star Destroyer.
Yeah.
But when Ben and Rey are there and he's got his lightsaber there, he's like with his mind going, I'm going to deceive you here with this while I'm doing this with this other hand. Now, I felt like it was like the whole Beverly Hills Cop 2. It's like when, what was it, Sidney Bernstein, the whole, oh, come on, what was his, what can I do about these parking tickets? What can I got the parking tickets here, and what can I put in this hand that'll make you forget about these parking tickets? Like if I give you this, blah, blah, blah. You know, and just like, no, it would not happen. I just like, I just, dude. I just like, man, it's just, oh man, it just drives me crazy. And it's like, they think this is great writing.
Somebody does, because clearly there's people out there that like it. They
do. Hey,
they have,
you know what? What if you like it? That's fine, but it's not. Don't sit there and hate on me when I know more about Star Wars than you do. And I mean, I'm not going to compromise myself and my fandom because I like Star Wars. Oh man, this is great. Just keep hitting me in the face because I love Star Wars. It's so great. The pain feels so good. No.
Yeah. Just go ahead and keep deconstructing everything that I liked about the originals, and turning it into what you want it to be. And I'll just keep watching it because I don't actually like the things that I like. You know what I like better than I like because metrics and whatever. And it's, again, it's like you can take it in different directions. You can use different characters. You can tell different stories, like what I talked about with the anime shorts, right? There was one, the very last one that they do, the characters and the story that tells is actually an interesting kind of world, an interesting different take on the overall Star Wars lore that I think would be a kind of cool to see an expansion of. You know, you wouldn't even have to go to space. You could just keep it on that weird little hub world with the cat people or whatever it was that was going on. It's like you can do things in this world without having to go back to the old and absolutely rip it apart. And like that's the thing that it seems to be this weird obsession with, which is that, hey, we got to take all these old things and turn them into shit so that the new thing looks better. It's like, but you're doing yourself a disservice, right? Because how much more impressive is it to see the new stuff overcome the old stuff, right? To expand and become that better version without ripping apart the old, right? How much better is it to show Rey become more powerful in the Force than Luke, but Luke not have to die doing something dumb and pointless to do that?
Or the fact that he gave up, or he attacked his nephew.
Yeah.
This is the same man that was like, there's good in my father. I don't want to fight him. I'm going to turn him to the good side. The most optimistic person in the galaxy.
Look, man, he had a couple drinks that day. All right. It was a really bad day. Mara Jade had just broken up with him and had fled off with some Tusken Raider. It was a bad day. All right. Yeah. One bad day. That's all. Look, if comics and nerddom has taught me anything, all it takes is one bad day.
One bad day. But we're not talking about, falling down with one bad day and bad decisions just lead to another and just progressively gets worse because you just realize you've just become a psychopath. But
yeah, one day you're top of the world, next day you're a weird hermit on the middle of an island drinking green milk. It can happen to the best of us.
Absolutely. All right, let me put this out there since we're on this whole Star Wars discussion. What do you guys think about what Rian Johnson was wanting to do with the Star Wars thing that he had planned?
I never heard the details on it.
He at one point was saying that the whole history of it didn't really matter, and what he wanted to do was going to be unique. I mean, it's been put on hold and greenlit and put on hold. From what I remember reading, his vision was to create something. It ultimately sounded like it was going to be adjacent to it, but not part of the full canon.
Then what's the point of calling it Star Wars at that point? Right. Like that's, if you are going to diverge so hard from the source material that it is completely unlike the source material itself, then why even brand it that? Right. Why even make it that thing? Because if all you want to go do, look at Knights of the Old Republic, right? Knights of the Old Republic went way back in time,
1,000 years,
and did weird, crazy batshit stuff with the Force. Hey, here's a weird dude with a mask that can devour planets. Does that make sense? Was that established in the old movies? No, they just said, hey, this sounds like a thing that a dude should be able to do. And it's like, all right, cool, let's do it. Boom. And they went out and did it. But they still were playing within the rules, right? Of established universe. They still kept enough of the history and enough of the stuff that was going on that it was still the thing that people enjoyed, right? They had to make up bullshit like, oh yeah, we have this albit of weaving that we put in everything, so lightsabers slice you in half on the first hit. It's like they added a little bit of bullshit flavor in it for the video games, but it was still telling a wholly unique story inside that universe, divorced from all of the stuff that people liked about the original. And it was fantastic because it was still a good story. It was still good characters told using the rules of the world. You don't have to break apart everything to go make something good. All you're doing by doing that is being a jackass.
You don't have to be. You could do a story like Alan Moore, right? Wasn't it Alan Moore who did the Watchmen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he took the whole superhero archetype and deconstructed it and created his story. But was it Grant Morrison does the same thing, and his stuff usually isn't that great either. But
I'd rather read Alan Moore than that.
Yeah, me too. But the fact that there's anything he could have told. I don't want to touch Star Wars. You don't need. Look, here's the sandbox. Here's the tools. Don't play outside the sandbox.
Play with the toys that are in it.
You don't have to have the Jedi in it. You could have brought new things in and experience another side of the galaxy, maybe a different galaxy that's within the universe. They discover a lightsaber, and the Force doesn't work the way it does in this galaxy versus the galaxy we know from Star Wars.
Covered the invention of the lightsaber.
You could have done way far in the future and had new characters, no ties to nothing. But you decided to take established characters and destroy them.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch anything for Star Wars. I don't want any of the people that literally did anything with the sequels on it. Now, I had hopes with Abrams because I enjoyed his movies. I enjoy storytelling. But the thing that I have a problem with is I don't like the fact that there was no Bible. There was no all right, here's the overarching story. Here's the one that you're going to direct. Here's this one. That's what's great about, I just had this conversation with my buddy Ryan. We talked about the fact that he doesn't like the prequels. But I was like, okay, I get it. He explained the reasons why he didn't like the prequels. A lot of the CGI doesn't hold up. Some of the characters were not great, but he loved the story. Same thing. I love the story. The one thing that would have made the prequels better had Lucas continued the process of what he did with 4, 5, and 6, where he directed the first one and had written the other two, but had someone direct them. That was what was great about Empire. That was what was great about Return of the Jedi. He did not direct those movies. And had he done that same process for 1, 2, and 3, it would have worked out. But there was no like direction for other than destroy the past, burn it if you have to, and just move on, because this is what we're doing. That's the message I got from Star Wars, from the sequels. And there was no heart. I overall enjoyed The Force Awakens, but I had problems with it.
Yeah.
When I saw The Last Jedi, I was completely conflicted. I couldn't believe what I saw. I didn't understand how, like, what was set up and established in The Force Awakens was completely undone with The Last Jedi. Yeah. And there had been no time progression. The fact that Luke had exiled himself and all that nonsense, it would have made sense that Luke was going here to look for artifacts, because he realized after all the things he's researched, from the dark Jedis, the regular Jedis, to the dark side, the light side, the Siths and everything, that the real direction a force sensitive person should take is balance. Because when you go heavily on one end, that you have weakness. You can't like counterbalance what's going on if you're hit with something. That's why like Jedi's just happen to like flip flop like they do, because they're not trained to understand how to bounce back or defend against whatever is going on. So having him teaching Rey, you could have done that. Have her actually go through something. Have her actually lose something. Luke went through the process, and he trained. He lost his hand. He lost Ben, who was like an uncle to him. He went through sacrifice to achieve what he got.
Yep,
and it
right.
made his victory even more worthwhile because of it.
Because he earned it.
Yeah, he earned it. It made it believable. Then when you literally write a book, there's this book out there. It was like The Legends of Luke Skywalker, and it's about a group of people that are on a freighter being transported to another planet. They find a stowaway, and they all start talking about the legends of Luke Skywalker, what they've heard. And it was like pretty cool, some of the stories. And then they got to this one. It's about this female fleet. I stopped reading this book after this point. It pissed me off. There's this, when Luke falls into the Rancor pit, this flea jumps on his shoulder and it gets into his ear and tells him what to do, because she feels he's an idiot and doesn't know how to use the Force, that he's just kind of willy-nilling it. And she's the one that guides him through everything to the end of the movie.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Literally, there's a book that does this. You literally undermine the character that we grew up looking up to, or our icon.
And who wrote that abortion?
I'd have to look.
Oh my God.
I have to look. I stopped, dude.
Put it in the show notes. Oh my God. That just.
I just like, it was like, dude, I was like, did I hear this right? Are you serious? I mean, are we really going this direction? And I should have known, because they did the there's a trilogy that came out just before either just before or right after The Force Awakens, and it's about Wedge and all this other stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he's a bumbling idiot in that too. And I'm like, are you kidding me? The hero of the Republic the leader of Rogue Squadron, is a bumbling idiot. Gets captured by the Empire. He doesn't.
Wedge was one of the unsung heroes, man. He's a badass.
How do you do that?
He survived everything.
And it's hard for me, and I give this context for the people that don't understand or don't want to understand where I'm coming from with this. I grew up loving Star Wars. I watched it so many times. The prequels I enjoyed, even though there's problems I have with it. But I love the prequels because they were my Star Wars. Even though, like, I was in my mom whenever Empire Strikes Back happened, because it came out just before I was born. And then I got to see Return of the Jedi at like 2 years old in the theater. But it was like when Phantom Menace, Clone Wars, and Revenge of the Sith, I literally, this was my Star Wars. But I had been reading the books because of my dad, the comics. I had all this expanded knowledge that was literally approved by Lucas. It wasn't like just people were just writing stories and they were getting published and didn't do anything.
Yeah, they were canon.
They were canon. They were expanding these stories. I literally got to see the journey of Luke after Return of the Jedi, the birth of his nephews, the birth of his son, Ben Skywalker.
The twins.
The twins of Han and Leia, Jason and Jaina and Jason, and then Anakin dying, Chewie dying, sacrificing himself to try to save Anakin. The passing of the torch of these characters, Luke becoming a Jedi master, a Grand Master and everything, and them fighting a whole new race of aliens that the Force doesn't really work on them. They're pure. They love pure torture. I went through this whole process. And I'm like, there's so much source material, stuff that they could pull from. I was like, man, this would be great. You could just literally take stuff from this and just hodgepodge it and do whatever you want to do. If you're going to break it like they did, they went and did this whole thing where it's like, well, this is now Legends. And then this is the new EU. And it's like, okay, all right, cool. Well, there's tons of stuff you guys can be pulling from, and
I love the fact that I love the fact that one of the first major things they did in their new EU was, we need to introduce Thrawn, right? It's like, oh yeah, hey, we're gonna ignore all this other expanded universe stuff, but we need that Thrawn guy for sure. Definitely need to bring him back. He's kind of important, we think. A lot of people like him, apparently. Okay. I guess. Are you going to bring back everything else from the extended universe? Like, why did you get rid of it to begin with if you were just like, yeah, we're just going to rewrite the Thrawn stories again because we can, we guess, because we're Disney or whatever. So, yeah, I was just reading up on that Tales of the Legends of Luke Skywalker by Ken Liu. And it seems like, all it is like the almost got him type stuff. So I don't know that the flea is actually the one who's telling the story. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, so it's probably just bullshitting, right? It's like, oh yeah, I was there. I helped him through. Look how awesome I am. It was totally me. It was all me. It had nothing to do with that guy. That guy's a dumbass. Right. But it's a bunch of people sitting around and talking smack and telling stories and whatever. So I don't think it's intended to be, hey, this is actually how Luke went through it. But that's
how it works, man. You think about it. Look at what we got with Luke. For those who don't know, when Abrams had planned out the end for Force Awakens, when Rey shows up to get to meet him on Ahch-To, he's literally levitating, and he's got all these rocks and boulders flying around him, like he's just imitation, and he opens his eyes and looks and puts everything down, and then they have like some kind of interaction. Well, basically the whole thing of that him knowing that Han's gone, when Rian Johnson had written a script, Abrams was like, hey man, this is like completely undermines what I have filmed here, or what I'm about to film here. They made him change his ending. That's why we got the whole thing of Luke looking like, what what's this lightsaber you have in your hand? That bullshit. And then, you think about what we got with Force Awakens.
Right.
Force Awakens, but Last Jedi. Luke's sitting there like, I don't do the Jedi thing. It's just whatever. We just need to, this is the time for the Jedi to die, or the time for end or whatever. And it's like, why? Oh, we're just trying to mirror what he would like Obi-Wan was like, on Tatooine. Obi-Wan wasn't like that. Did you watch the movie? Did you read anything for the character and how he was and what he was doing?
No.
Nothing. I mean, it's just the perception. I'm like, how do you do this? And they did it. They expect people just to like eat it up because it's Star Wars. And I'm like, no, I can't. You literally took like, it hurts me because of Luke was one of my favorite characters. And you just literally destroyed him.
Yeah.
Could you imagine them doing that to Superman?
They tried.
I know they did. Could you imagine them doing it to like some other iconic character, and people just being like, "Oh yeah, this is cool."
Have you seen the trailer for Gotham Knights?
Yeah.
The game was great.
No, the CW thing.
I know.
Oh my God, that is so bad. I am not even gonna bother. Misha Collins as Harvey Dent is not gonna save that show.
Dude,
oh my God, that is going to be so bad. That's not going to make a season 2.
Doing? Like, is everyone who's been torpedoing Star Wars? Are they just moving over to the CW?
CW, because
right.
Because God Almighty, I'm like, what? And it was funny because I was trying to think about it. I was like, man, when was the last show TV show that legitimately had Batman in it? And I've thought about it. I'm like, the closest
crossover.
Yeah,
but no, I'm talking about like an act, like a continuing series of
Birds of Prey.
Batman.
Birds of Prey actually had Batman in it.
But you're talking about how old is that?
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Well, the Flash was supposed to have instead of having Green Arrow, it was originally going to be Bruce Wayne, but they couldn't get the rights.
Right, so that doesn't count.
I know.
So it's so you've got the weird Pennyworth show, right? Which I keep forgetting exists, and then I'll log on to HBO Max and I'll see it pop up somewhere. I'm like, what the hell is? Oh, it's the Alfred show that I didn't know existed, and I think it ran for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Smallville. I think Smallville was the one. It was supposed to be
yes,
Bruce Wayne, and then but they couldn't do the rights to it, so they did.
So they got Oliver.
Yeah, which was good call, right? Oliver was in that show. It
was great in that show.
Yeah, so you had the Pennyworth show. You've got Titans going on. You've got Gotham Knights now coming out. You had Gotham, and I know there's a lot of people out there that like Gotham, but the way that show happens, all of Batman's villains would be a bunch of geriatrics by the time he's actually Batman in the universe, right?
Batman.
Like they'd all have.
All right, Grandpa, come on.
Who's Batman?
Let's go back to. Come on, Grandpa Joker. Let's get you back to your retirement home.
Yes,
Grandpa Cobblebot.
It's like, and that's what it is. It's not even like he's. Oh my God! Now here's the TV series. It's Bruce Wayne working at a retirement home. All the villains are there, and they're all like scheming to do stuff to the retirement home, and that he gets the nickname the Batman
because he only works the night shift.
He only works the night shift, and it's like, that's when all the weird, crazy stuff happens.
And all the stories are their imagination, not actual.
Man. We need to write this. This is our idea.
Oh, we're copywriting that. That's our. You can't have it. That's ours.
Sorry.
But I mean, so far that sounds better than that. The way that Gotham show looks.
I know.
Holy shit.
I mean, no offense to Ben Affleck or Robert Pattinson, who both did fine jobs, and I love the new Robert Pattinson Batman.
Yeah.
But our story, that idea right there, works so much better.
That's perfect. I love it. They're like, and it's like
it's all told from the Joker and the Riddler's perspectives, and they're like in 90. So everything's all askew, and Harley Quinn is like 7 feet tall.
Oh, jeez.
Oh no! And the riddles start off making sense, and then all of a sudden they lead to like the answer is giraffe or some shit.
Yeah.
Just random gibberish by the end. Yeah, I'm down for this. Like you can tell when Riddler was on his meds as he was writing it.
Right, exactly. And then they missed his med time, and then all of a sudden it just goes left.
And you can make the whole thing of like, Scarecrow being actually a good guy. He's just like they're afraid of him because he gives them the night medicine.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's the distributor of the meds. That's it.
Yeah, he's just a med guy.
Mr. Freeze is just a guy who likes a cold bedroom.
Yeah,
like he's always over there fidgeting with the AC.
This is so his whole scheme is trying to like literally make the whole retirement home cold.
Exactly. There you go.
He's scheming to do this, and it's like,
yeah, I'm absolutely for this. I like this, guys. I like where this is going.
This is our fan fiction.
And there you go, because you got Old Man Gordon. He's been there, a while, because it's like he's the one who put these guys in jail eventually.
He's either an administrator or a janitor.
Yeah.
He's the one that has to keep cleaning up the mess.
And it was bad enough fighting these guys as criminals. Now it's like they're even worse. I
gotta clean up their shit, literally.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
That's awesome. And we haven't gone off the rails yet. That's fantastic.
That just works.
We're still on topic.
Yeah, let me finish up the Star Wars thing real quick, and then we can kind of move on. But I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm negative. I'm not. I really want Star Wars to succeed, and all of us do. This was a big thing for us, and to see it in the reins of people that don't care is hard.
Exactly.
I have faith in Favreau and Filoni trying to, because hey, Mandalorian is great, but Boba Fett was great too. It at least established and stuck with what was established within. Now, yes, I know. The whole thing of undermining the training of Grogu. Why was the point of this? There was no growth. But I bet that there was a lot of that was the reason, because the fact that Kathleen Kennedy still had some control, and she was trying to undermine stuff.
Dude, there was a lot more wrong with Book of Boba Fett than just
undermining. I understand. There's great more cameos from other characters.
Yeah, can we just Kathleen Kennedy in the Starlight?
We've already gotten into that whole thing, though. How we felt about Book of Boba Fett.
Yes, I know.
But it's still better. But you think about it, though. You look at what's with Kenobi. At least Book of Boba Fett has structure. At least
there's
an attempt to, stick to the lore that they've established within the last 2 seasons of Mandalorian.
Sure.
Versus what we're getting here with Obi-Wan. I'm afraid, man, this episode's going to go up literally on the day, so we'll know. This will go up on Wednesday, so we'll know how bad that episode is. But did you know that it was on the table, man, to have them kill Luke?
Wait, what?
Yes, in the meeting room when they were discussing what they were going to do for the thing, it's been reported by people that were there that they were going to kill Luke.
So what was it? The Luke that we've had this entire time was just a robot?
He's a clone. I don't know. I have no clue, man. It would have completely
technology exists somewhere.
It would have completely, there is technically a clone, but it's not till Juris Roth and Thrawn comes and clones Luke with his severed hand from Cloud City. But
I never thought about that. If somebody got hold of that hand, man.
So apparently, from what I know, they're supposed to have a big fight on Mustafar, Obi-Wan, and Darth Vader. And it's supposed to be like, they're supposed to be just this massive vistas. And it's supposed to be reminiscent of the Last Jedi fight. with him. So it's like, okay, so Obi-Wan's actually not going to fight him with a lightsaber. He's just going to go like duck and move out of the way and all this other stuff. Now, but the thing is that we know that the character who should have died and would have never been able to get off that planet is going to kidnap Luke. You know that's going to happen.
Oh yeah. So because I got really curious and I had heard a long while back there were leaks about the show and I had avoided them. But whenever I saw how the show was going, I kept hearing people saying like, yeah, everything that was in those leaks so far has come true. And I was like, all right, I need to prep myself for the disappointment that's coming. So I went and I read the leaks of supposedly what's supposed to happen. And it's so stupid. And it doesn't make any sense with what goes on, because said person like threatens to kill other person and then has like a bunch of flashbacks and, oh, my life was so hard and all this stuff, and decides at the last minute, you know what, I'm not going to do this. And then I'm going to go to Vader and then I'm going to get killed, but I'm not going to give away the information. But they've already established at this point in the universe, right? Like when Kylo Ren uses the Force to rip shit out of people's heads, people were like, well, wait, how is he able to do that? Why didn't Vader just do that way back in the day? Like, oh, it's something that, is new that Kylo figured out how to do. It's like, okay, but Reva can do it. So she has a power that Vader doesn't have at a different time.
No, this is the okay. Disney has been doing this. I don't know if people have paid attention to this. This is hilarious. Sorry, Colin. I mean to jump in. Just want to add this.
That's fine. That's fine. Go ahead.
They have literally been doing with this series and what they've done with like certain other things. They're literally trying to explain the bullshit from the sequels.
Right.
So
and
the
prequel
whole healing ability that Rey does on or that Kylo does on Rey to bring her back to life and everything. Like, where'd this shit come from? Even though it's been established in more that Jedi's can do force healing.
Yeah, it's in the book. Or in the
in the books, the video games, and everything. It's like, and then we have Grogu heal Griff. So it's like, I get it. Association. Yeah, we get the association. So it's canon. So now we're gonna have Reva do the same thing to explain how Ben was able to do this.
Right, but again, it's like,
and then on top of that, it's hold on. Let me add the best one. The best one is, why did Leia and Han name their child Ben Solo when she only knew him as one Obi-Wan Kenobi and actually didn't even get to meet him at all in the whole episode 4? She never saw him.
He was a straight legend.
She never saw him.
But this is why, because there was all this well-established history between the two of them. I'm sure that in the intervening years, Obi would just decide at random points, you know what? I don't need to watch Luke this weekend. I'm going to go pimp off and go see how Leia's doing with Organa, and we're just going to hang out and have a good old time.
It's like, I always send her Christmas cards and Valentine's Day and birthday cards. Uncle Ben loves you. He misses you. Here you go. Here's like 20 cards. Republic credits or Imperial credits.
Yeah.
That's after credits scene stuff, right? That is.
Dude, I just like it. It hurts my head, man. It does. It hurts my head so bad. It's like, how, man? I don't understand. I don't. I just. Right.
I'm really to the point. I'm really to the point where it's like I'm basically gonna watch the Mandalorian stuff and ignore literally everything else at this point until they give me enough reason or purpose to come back and watch anything else Star Wars. Because so far, like I said, I feel bait and switched constantly. It's like they fish out this little line and I'm like, oh, that looks kind of good. And I'll swim over there and be like, oh, okay. I mean, there's a little shit on the walls over here. Probably a crazy lady. I'm not sure. And move along a little bit further in. I'm like, there's a little bit more shit on the walls. What's going on? And then I find myself in the toilet by, again, like episode 3 or 4. I'm like, how did I get here? What's going on? And there comes another log about to fall on top of me. I'm getting out of here. It's like I get tired of doing that. It's like it starts off, hey, here's kind of an interesting premise, and then it gets dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber until I'm just done. So like I'll finish out this. I'm gonna finish Kenobi so I can say that I finally watched it all. But like, I mean, what else is coming down the pipe other than Mando? Is anything else actually greenlit in production? Any of that? Because I know they've got a couple of stuff going on, but you talk about it.
So Mando's next year. Remember, as far as I know, it's supposed to be next year. Because
there's another one.
The Ahsoka
there's another one that's linked to Rogue One.
Oh, Ahsoka.
That's
right?
Andor. And then you got the if it still gets done, you have the Wings of the Republic, or that's going to get retooled into something else, because that was supposed to be Cara Dune's show, you know,
right?
Her character. I mean, well, Gina Carano's character, but continue on. We don't. Apparently, it's been rumored she's been rehired, but we haven't heard
it. They went back and looked at that apparently. So there's rumors that she's coming back in some capacity,
which I'd be great. I mean, like, look, I don't care what people's politics are as long as she has a great character. But they didn't like that. They didn't like the fact that she's a strong female character that's not written by people that want to pander.
Right.
You know,
I
don't know.
I mean, and I get that people have personal lives and stuff like that, but if you're in a show that's that big and connected to something so much bigger and iconic, maybe keep your mouth shut for just a little while.
True. I understand. Well, the thing is,
yes, you're entitled to go and put your bits out there and everything. But if you're going to do something that's going to hurt your career and your ability to make money and survive in this world, zip it.
Well,
just for a few minutes.
I get you. It's one of those things of like,
I mean, yes, you
play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Yes,
you know that I was raised as much as everybody else was. You don't pick on somebody, especially someone bigger than you, because they're going to knock the shit out of you. Well, and so it's like, well, I could fuck with this person and I think I could take them. And then it's like, you got knocked the fuck out. You know, it's just like, why? Why are you going to do that? Look, you can say what you want to say, but just understand there's consequences.
Exactly.
One of the things like parents teach your kids, it's like, as a parent, I do this myself. There's consequences for your action. Yeah, you can make that decision all you want, but you got to understand if it's not the right decision, there's repercussions for it. And
it would be on the side of the people
that have the consequences.
On the other side of those folks, not that I feel like going down this rabbit hole at all.
No, I don't either.
There are people that make the argument that the rules for exactly what is something stupid enough, like what you can say that's stupid enough to get yourself axed, isn't necessarily applied equally across the board for everyone.
Exactly. That's what happens.
In some cases is true, right? But then in other cases, you have people that are of the correct party that have gotten canned, like what's his face? The Guardians director, right? He made those very off-color jokes that people dug up, and he got canned. So that was an example of someone who was, again, quote unquote, of the accepted party getting canned. So it's like it does and it doesn't get applied equally, but whatever. You need to be aware, like what you're saying. If you're in a given profession, you're aware of the kinds of things that may or may not get you in a little bit extra trouble.
Yeah, hot water. I mean, it's just like if we said something that was inappropriate, we could get
8 years before with Sean Gunn, that whole thing. That was 8 years. Somebody went back and looked all the way back to 8 years to find one post.
Yeah, but that's what
that didn't fit and got him fired.
But that's what the internet does.
What it doesn't matter. That was somebody who did Sean Gunn.
I know, and sadly, we have people out there that like to attack people for clout. Like, how many people did I destroy together today?
Case in point, The character in the Ben Kenobi series right now, Obi-Wan, the black lady.
Yeah.
A lot of people are focusing on her because she's black and she's a bad guy. And they're just absolutely destroying her on social media. Sucks to no end. And you have to ask yourself, why? I haven't seen it yet, so I don't even know what kind of character she plays. I've read that she's a pretty good bad guy. And there are actors who are so good that you hate them because they play great bad guys.
Well, yeah, because we live in a society.
Case. Yeah. And after episode 6 comes out of Obi-Wan, I'm gonna binge the whole thing. I'm gonna go back and watch The Last Jedi because I have yet to see that. But people going and doing stupid stuff like that wrecks the franchise even more for whatever stupid reason.
Well, and it gives, all right, so on the one hand, right, it's the internet, so you're always going to have people that just, the nature of anonymity means that they're going to go out and say all this horrible stuff to see if it's bullies, right? They're going to go out and say all this horrible stuff to see if they get a reaction. And the second they get a reaction, you've fed the mob, and they're going to go out and they're going to keep doing it. The more and more you feed the mob, the more and more they go out and do these things, right? And they will rip apart anyone's life as much as they want, however they want. And it takes people standing up to that kind of stuff and doing it. It's like, because Vince and I, the last episode that we did very briefly talk about how, she at least starts off in the series a good villain, right? She is a
villain at the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, it's the mustache twirling, just like extreme evil side that you like to see sometimes, right? I don't need my villains to constantly have eight dimensions to them, and deep down inside they're actually this wounded little puppy dog that you just need to pet it and stroke until it comes out, and then it's a nice little thing. Sometimes you want the prickly little porcupine that's just going to stab everything because it wants to. It's like, that's great.
Yeah, some people want to watch the world burn.
Right. And those are the fun ones, right?
Exactly.
It's like, it's not anything that's Shakespearean that she's putting on, but she's a fun enough villain, especially early on. There are some things that come up later that kind of undermine her a little bit.
At that point, after the 3rd, 4th, 5th episode, and then like the fact that like she's a one-known villain, and then it's unbelievable. If you know anything about how the Force works and when you're on the dark side, how hard it is to turn back.
Right.
And then like, sorry, Jedis don't have revenge. I'm like, this is poor writing.
No, so the worst sin of that last episode was the final lightsaber fight in it. The final lightsaber fight of that episode starts off kind of interesting, right? Where one person is wielding a lightsaber and the other person is just wielding the Force. And it's like, that's kind of a neat concept to show just how awesome and one-sided this fight is, that the other person isn't even bothering to fight you on the same level. Okay. And then the second that other person draws sabers, it turns into one of the dumbest choreographed fights I think I've ever seen. A bunch of weird, like, flopping on the ground bullshit, and then it's over. I'm like, what just happened? Y'all started off kind of interesting, and then it went complete dog shit by the end. And I've seen people say that that's one of the greatest lightsaber fight scenes of all time. I'm like, what the fuck? No. Maybe the beginning, maybe the start. At the very beginning, I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool way to do it. But by the end, no.
Oh, the worst one. No, that's bad. That is even the whole thing of like just him doing this, just blocking her. It's like,
again, like in concept, it's a cool idea, again, to show how much more powerful the other person is. It's just, in execution, it looks a little weird.
You know what makes, I'm going to do two things. First off, let me go and say the other scene that was ridiculous was the fact that when all the stormtroopers are there and Obi-Wan gives himself up. And they have their little conversation. No one hears the conversation. And then she just lets the stormtroopers take him back inside. That was the dumbest thing. I was like, really? The stormtroopers would have turned on her. I'd be like, no, this doesn't. Thank you, David. But hold on. You know what makes the Terminator, the first movie, so great?
Peter Cushing?
No, Terminator.
Well, obviously.
Terminator. I apologize. Peter Cushing should have been in Terminator, but that's beside the.
Yeah. He could have been John Connor, the old John Connor. No.
Oh my God.
No. What made Terminator so great was the fact that how menacing the T-800 was. It wasn't just the fact of like, he didn't like, when he went to kill people, he killed them.
And everyone between them.
And then everybody between them. And then like when you first see that scene, like when he meets the bikers with Bill Paxton and he just rips out the dude's heart. That's what would happen. That was it was believable. You know, and that's what's the problem with like some of these later Terminator movies, other than 2. Terminator would not like throw a human around. That was why like it was so unbelievable when like in Salvation. I love Salvation. It was great, but I had problems with it too. Sorry, T-800 would not be thrown around John Connor. The moment he grabbed him, he would have broke his neck or ripped him apart.
Yeah.
And then thrown it aside.
And just thrown it aside. And then went to go find Kyle and killed him too. It's the same thing like I had a problem with. I love seeing the Dark Troopers. And I had this conversation with Dad. I love seeing the Dark Troopers finally on screen. It was fantastic. It was like a moment of like connecting my childhood of playing Dark Forces.
Finally.
Seeing these characters. I mean, these robots. But when they're thrown around Mando, I'm like, this is not believable. He's got big plot armor here. The moment they grabbed him, they would have killed him. I mean, they would have just snapped his neck or ripped him apart and everything. I don't care how much Beskar armor you have on, your joint's still going to come off with force.
Yeah.
He's not like Iron Man. I'm like, I think we've forgotten how to tell a story and show realism. I understand we're talking about a show that is pure fantasy, but when you don't continue to follow the rules and the logic that exists within that sandbox,
right,
you are pulled out of it. And that is why, like, when I first went and saw freaking Last Jedi, and they're like, we're gonna drop bombs in space. You're gonna do what now?
It was magnets, man.
No,
don't you know?
That's not how that would work, dude. That's do you know how much of a large magnet that would have to be able to pull? And you don't even know if the ship hull is even made of metal.
Dude, it's fine.
It's fine.
I just like I don't understand. I'm like, did y'all guys take science class? I mean, I understand there's some like suspension of disbelief with some things in Star Wars, but I have never seen dropping bombs in a vacuum of
no, they would just fuck around.
Reverse gravity. That's what it is. They reverse gravity in the ship to just push them.
So here's an experiment for all of our listeners here. You want to see how this works? Fill your tub up with water and drop something in it. Let's see how far it goes.
And for those of you who have vacuum chambers in your YouTube channels or whatever, put a magnet in it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. You just test it out. You make a video response to me and the Down Level podcast, and we'll watch this.
And we'll put it up there and we'll say, okay, here's somebody who's proven.
But no, it does not exist. It would never work. I'm like, you don't see that in other movies.
Yeah, that's what made it so special, man. So you don't see this in other movies.
Oh, the greatest one was someone told me, oh, it's because they were close. It was being pulled by the gravitational pull of the planet they were close to.
No.
No.
Ship here, other ship way over here.
Gravitational would have pulled it into the planet.
How is the bombs going to go like this into this by the gravitational pull? It would just go down to the planet.
Yeah, it would go right into the planet, and then somebody would end up with a big magnet in their yard.
It would have burned up in entry. It wouldn't have.
Hold on. Those people are idiots. It wasn't the gravitational force of the planet. It was the artificial gravity of the ship. That's what was pulling it down. Okay.
Yeah.
Get your shit. Because hold on, because then how were the space horses able to stay on the sides of the Star Destroyer?
It's in space, but they were inside the actual atmosphere of the planet. But yeah, I get you. How are the space horses able to breathe in space, and they were able to breathe in space and not be like, all right, we're gonna let these horses off.
I want to know the genius that came up with that. Hey guys, we need to have the rogue stormtroopers show up and help them fight the battle on the Emperor's army of super Death Star destroyers. Should we have them show up in like A fighters, B fighters, X-wing? I'm sorry, A wings, B wings, X wings,
Y wings,
speeder bikes,
epic space battle.
Speeder bikes, that'd be awesome.
Epic space battle, right? We could have this great space battle that would have topped Revenge of the Sith. That would have topped.
We did, dude.
Oh no, we got space horses.
Yes. Who saw that coming? No one saw space horses coming. You could ready yourself.
Okay, was that on your bingo? Was that on your bingo card?
No, that's the point.
It's like
Vince.
All right,
Vince. No. Yes. It's the ultimate trump card, right?
There's your
you can plot out everything. Okay, we've rebuilt the Death Star. We fixed the little port where there ain't no torpedo getting shot down there. And everybody's like, all right, guys, we've got the greatest shields on Earth. We've got tractor beams to pull everything in. We're unstoppable now. And then space horses show up. You didn't plan for that. You have no contingency for space horses. What do you got to do against space horses? That's what makes it.
But it could have been space rancors, man. They could have literally just went to Dathomir, grabbed a bunch of them, and just dropped them on there. And the rancors just went rip and just destroyed all them.
Everybody knows about rancors, though. Everybody knows about the Hutts have got rancors. Everybody's got rancors. No one. They're like the Spanish Inquisition. No one expects space horses.
Yes. Okay. So let me add this real quick. Man, I gotta get over it. Go over.
Genius.
David, thank you for the Monty Python.
It's like the Empire's like, we hear a knock on the spaceport, on the airlock. Oh, open it up, see who it is. It's horses.
With Spanish Inquisition on top of it.
That's right.
And the ultimate fix for the spaceport, the port problem, is a giant 10-pound cork. Just dunk.
I love it.
My brain totally went off. I can't remember what I was gonna say. Hold on,
the rail way back there.
Yeah, I was like, yes, I'm gonna get to say this. It'll be great. David said something, and I got left behind. Bye.
Seriously, man, the more that we talk about this, the more I think I'm bringing myself around. Sequel trilogy is perfect. Yep. Don't change anything about it. It's there's nothing wrong. Kathleen Kennedy did nothing wrong.
Thank you for helping me get to that moment. All right. So
oh my God. David, you're awesome.
The Emperor, right? And all this magical power being brought back as a zombie, he's gonna absorb Rey and Kylo's force ability to become like younger, which technically was originally supposed to happen, but didn't actually in the movie. He was able to build this massive fleet of Star Destroyers, and no Super Star Destroyers, just Star Destroyers, tons of them. The massive amount that he had there, literally, he could have just sent out in the galaxy and like completely brought his empire back, and like completely wiped out the First Order because that was all a joke, and just took over the galaxy again because there's no one that would have been able to stop them.
Right.
But no, he's like, I got to get these 2 force sensitive people here so I can absorb whatever he was trying to do. I don't know. I don't know. It would have been almost better that like they killed Emperor and then like his force ghost went into Kylo or Rey and Ben has to fight her and he has to kill her and he's like, I'm sorry, it's okay. It's what needed to be done, instead of having all the force ghosts show up, or the voices of the force ghosts. Like, you can do this. You are all of us, Rey.
They just should, they shouldn't have gone full Avatar. They just should have done the crazy, murderous, force resistant robots at the edges of space and gone full Mass Effect and done with it that way and been the Reapers and
Yeah,
they'd be fine.
The Reapers. Yeah, you would have just saw this giant spacecraft come in and other crustacean ships, and then the Geth would have showed up and we were all right. I mean, like Mass Effect, the Star Wars continues or whatever.
Everyone's favorite waifus would have been able to show up. It would have been great.
Yeah, could have had like
writing in
Shepard shows
flying down. The best waifu, Rex, would have come straddling 2 space horses. He would have been standing on top of 2 space horses, just dual wielding like laser shotguns for no reason.
Yeah, like the original Brothers Circus.
We're going to talk about the real waifu of the Mass Effect universe. It's Arya, or whatever. What's her name?
Liara.
I'll fix this right. Yes, we all know that the best one is Liara.
It's Rex, man. You got to get it right. Come on now.
All right. So here's the one thing that I'm waiting for in all of the Disneydom, okay, is for them to link, say, Marvel to Disney through Thor, where eventually Thor tells the story of eons ago. There were all these wonderful space fighters who had all these magical abilities. You know, I'm just waiting for that to happen. So ever since Disney bought Marvel, I've been waiting for that moment for them to link the 2 together somehow.
Star Wars and Disney?
Yeah, well, Star Wars and Marvel.
Star Wars and Marvel. So you have like
Thor telling the stories.
He's actually a Jedi, but he can only use the Force on the material that it's like Beskar is the.
Yeah, it's the Force that allows the hammer to come back to Thor.
Yeah.
But no, I'm talking about the Asgardians knowing the stories of Star Wars because it was eons before.
This is true. If you go far enough in the future, you're technically in modern day with Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah. I would actually.
That's something that I'm waiting for Disney to do. Honestly, with the way that they're going with just lambasting everything and just throwing it into a big old pot and stirring it up, and you got this Mickey Mouse stew going on. I'm waiting for it.
I would add the whole thing of so there was a Tales of Star Wars or something like that, or Tales of the Jedi or something. It was one of the books from Dark Horse.
Your dad would know this.
And it was an episode. It was basically an issue, or at least a mini short story that had Han and Chewie crash land on a tropical planet, and it jumps like a millennia later, or no, it's like a couple thousand years later or something like that. I don't remember what the time frame is, but it's Indy, and he's like, all right, we're going, and he stumbles across the Millennium Falcon, and while he's doing this, he sees like this creature in the background and stuff that's just been watching him, and he gets into the ship and sees Han just all mummified, but he has the clothes still that are somehow still intact, but they're holy. And he goes, man, this, in a short rounds with him, he goes, man, this looks way too familiar. We need to leave this. And they leave, and Chewie on top of the Falcon with a spear, looking at them as they're walking away.
Huh.
Yeah. Because they went there to like find some kind of like Sasquatch or something like that, or like an artifact in the air, whatever jungle he's in.
Yeah, I could see the Sasquatch story working, because Chewbacca being mistaken for a Sasquatch could be a thing. Mm-hmm. That would actually be a story I'd read.
Yeah.
And then that just freaks him out so bad that he goes to LA and becomes a detective and teams up with Josh Hartnett for a little while. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
then he like, retires, and then he gets called in by his boss, and he has to go find these things called replicants.
And then he becomes president of the United States.
Yeah, because he's taking out the replicants enough.
Get off my plane.
We're gonna let you be president of the United States, but you can't be Henry Jones Jr. or if you're gonna be whatever his character was in that movie. I can't remember what it was.
Oh my goodness.
The president.
I like it. It's good.
And then his daughter, then the president crashes into New York because it became a prison, and Snake Plissken has to go find him.
Hey, sounds like a trilogy to me.
Yeah, I want to see this movie. This is great.
This is something I would invest in.
Like a sextology.
Sextology. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to the episode, but I'm regretting waiting. Just I know it's going to be bad. it hurts me thinking about it. And I know my dad's ticked off about it too, because it's like these characters we enjoy. We grew up enjoying them, and
right,
a lot of people did. But Chapek is like working to redo the finale and release at another date. And he's talking about because they were looking at doing additional episodes for Kenobi, but he's like, no, we're going to do this as a season, and they're going to try to fix it. And Filoni and Favreau are going to take the reins. So hopefully,
right. And I
don't know how they're going to fix it, because there's already too much stuff that they've done.
Right.
Because keep in mind, we're talking about the Inquisitors here. They should have noticed that Leia is force sensitive.
Yeah. And if they know that she's force sensitive, why don't they like strip her away from Organa ever? Like, yeah, he's a senator and he has a certain level of power, but it's the Inquisitors, right?
It should have never had her. It should have just been Obi-Wan doing his things and having to be away from Luke, because that was his commitment. And it looks bad on Organa not being able to watch Leia like that.
And being such an idiot, right? Like, that was the whole problem with the end of this last episode. It was like, oh, hey, Obi, I know that we said we weren't going to talk to each other because reasons, but I just needed to call and find out how things were going with you and Luke. And it's like, dude.
Yeah, I haven't heard from you about where my daughter is. And, if you don't hear from you, I'm going to pack my stuff up and go be with the boy, because we know he's our only hope. And it's like, dude. And then he drops it, or like it somehow gets dropped. It's like, no, we can't play games like this.
Yeah. You need code words, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, I was just checking on how the chicken was cooking, and you know how I like my jambalaya. I'm gonna head on down and check on the rice. Wink, wink.
I'm gonna go down to Louisiana and go get some rice, because I know they have the best rice.
They make some really great roux down there.
Yeah, and that I would love to go down there to learn how to make that for you when you come back.
Like force, like universe healing, force mending roux.
Yeah.
No, don't use the word force. No.
Sorry.
Flour.
Damn it.
Force. Dang it! What can we add here to filter in for that word?
Yeah.
Lunchtime.
Pressure. We got to do a little pressure. You got to have a little pressure to make things. So you might want to put it in a pressure cooker.
Yes.
Yeah. And if it gets done cooking, it'll really bring the family together.
Yeah, we'll have that family reunion.
It
might ease the tension that's been going on for 10 years.
It'll be really great. I can't wait to see you again, Tom. Just let me know how it's going. Like, God bless it, man. He is such a dumbass in this series. See, I mean, like I said, right? I'm I'm done. I'm kind of out. It's like I said, I'll watch Mando when it comes up. If there's something else that comes out, I'm probably gonna wait till at least I hear. I'm gonna have to wait till like the 4th episode of anything that comes out to hear reviews and see if it's another one of these things where, yeah, it started off with a good concept, and then it just got really stupid about midway through. It's like, oh,
okay. Well, I guess I'll binge it later, and then we'll.
Welcome to the Dead Level Podcast, where we've been linking Star Wars to Gumbo since 2022.
that's right.
Hey, well, my dad was raised in Louisiana, and
Right.
Hey, it comes full circle.
Somewhere.
Once was the learner, and now he is the master.
Only thing is, he mastered milk and hamburger helper.
I ain't nothing wrong with that.
No. Hey, my dad can make a mean meal out of anything.
That's right.
My dad's a great cook.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Yes, that is indeed true.
When
Vince, if you're watching, get to cooking, man. Big videos.
I can't wait to see his list of correction notes on things that would say. Apparently, I was horribly misinformed about the runtime of the new Thor movie. I apologize.
Yeah,
I didn't look that far into it, nor did I really care that much.
Well, my dad has become Obi-Wan. He's looking at the.
He has become quite the
Luke and Leia.
I don't remember Obi-Wan being that OCD about facts, but okay.
He just needs to do his own TED Talk. That's all there is to it.
Hey, I'm gonna work with Dad. He wants to do a podcast or something that something creative about fiction and things like that. So
hey,
he needs some kind of outlet.
Yes.
I love you, Dad, and
yeah, we love you, man.
We miss you. We want you on the podcast, like on the 50th episode.
Yes, absolutely. We got to have him on there.
Come on back. I won't talk quite so crazy for at least the first.
And I promise I'll zip it for 5 minutes.
I promise I'll not give bad facts for. No, I'll probably give some bad facts, but it'll be fine.
Well, no, what it is you just need to make sure that you don't badmouth Marvel, because you have this thing about badmouthing Marvel.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that
it's the bad.
It's just not my cup of tea right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I went for a lemonade, but they gave me Earl
it's
Grey.
Not. I went to go get the lemonade, and it was really, really sweet. And I was like, "Hey guys, this is so sweet, it's hurting my teeth. Can you cut back on the sugar just a bit?" And they're like, "No, this is making us billions of dollars. We're going to put all the sugar in this lemonade, and you're going to drink it, and you're going to like it.
And we're going to wrap it in bacon."
And I turn around and I look, I'm like, but the only other place I had to go are those guys. And they make tea that's like insanely bitter. They brew it for way too long. And it's really dark and kind of gross, and it's just been sitting out for too long. So, it'd be great is if we could take a little bit of y'all's super sweet, sugary lemonade and some of their super bitter tea and mix it together into a delicious Arnold Palmer, and I'd be really good. But yeah, so I'm not to your dad. I'm not a big fan of what DC's doing. It is too dark. It is too crazy. At the same time, Marvel is just way too on the light side at the moment. I would like for them to come back a little bit to the middle, just a little bit back, please. And maybe or at the very least, do some stories that I might care about. Yeah. Like the second I found out that Doctor Strange 2 was just WandaVision, the sequel, I was like, yeah, I'll wait till it comes out on video and then I'll go watch it. Thor, I just don't really care about. My brother's really big Thor. I'm not. So of all the new ones, I was kind of the most interested in was Blade, and I have no idea what's going on with that. So I promise I won't badmouth Marvel. I don't even really badmouth it that bad. It's just too overly funny. Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go off and do a tangent. I don't mean to.
Moon Knight had the potential to steer it back on course.
Moon Knight was so close. It was so close, and then it went stupid in the middle.
Right. And Werewolf by Night has the potential to reset the course. I mean, they're top there. It's probably going to be hokey, but there's so much potential. And they're talking about a Midnight Sun thing, and they announced a Thunderbolts movie. Hopefully, the Thunderbolts movie will steer it back on course, because if you go with humor on Thunderbolts, it's going to wreck it.
They'll find a way to do it.
Yeah,
they will find a way.
Kevin Feige, if you happen to watch this for 2 minutes,
Thank
two
you.
minutes.
Thank you.
Listen to me. Thank you for listening. First of all, yes, well done, well remembered. But dude, comedy only needs to go into this small little. You have a whole bookshelf. You don't need to have the whole bookshelf comedy. One little book. That's what you need.
But they go to, but Colin, if they do serious, then they're just DC, and it's terrible, and everyone hates it.
There's a difference between being serious and being dark and brooding and emo.
Yeah,
Being morose.
Iron Man proved that.
Right. That's where I constantly go back. I'm like, phase 1 into phase 2 was probably the best balanced that they were with how they. I still contend that my favorite Marvel movie, the one that I think they did the best job on, that it holds up not only as a comic book movie, but as an international spy thriller, is Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier, I have yet to see a movie by Marvel that has set with me as well as Winter Soldier did. That movie knocked it out of the park on every conceivable level.
And that was the Russo brothers.
When I came out of that movie, the most I could say was the beginning fight scene was a little too shaky cammy, but that was literally it. Everything else I loved. It nailed so many things that I enjoy. It hit all the pulp elements with the giant Nazi supercomputer brain, right? It had the crazy government conspiracy theory. It had all these great little things, and inside of it was tagged, the Easter eggs of seeing like the names of all the different heroes pop up in the targeting reticles of the giant super ships, all this stuff. It was great. And that was the last time I felt like, and that movie had humor to it, right? The constantly on your left, right? With Falcon, there were little bits in there. And I really think that was the last movie that they really nailed the balance that I like in my superhero movies. They've come close here and there with a few things, but for the most part, it gets to be a little much, or I just hate the characters. Like the Spider-Man movies, all the villains are fantastic. I've loved every villain in every Spider-Man movie they've done so far. I just hate Peter Parker in these movies. He is such a dumbass. I know it's a rough take, and I think I've talked about this before. Those first 2 movies, I don't believe he made his suit. I don't believe he made his web shooters before Tony gave them to him. If it was him and his buddy, and the 2 of them combined, because that's what you see in the 3rd movie, right? Him and his buddy come together and put their heads together, and they create things. And so if that was it, if it was always a team between the 2 of them, I believe that. But with it just being Peter, and I get it, it's a different time, it's a different type of teenager, all that stuff. I just don't like him. Everyone else loves it, so I'm the odd man out as always when it comes to that stuff. So I'm perfectly fine with it. And hopefully, with the end of the last movie, he feels more Peter to me now, and we'll see how they progress moving forward. God knows, I can't wait till they do Brand New Day. It's gonna be fantastic. Reboot everything, have Mephisto completely come in and rape the entire Marvel Universe stories. It'll be great because everyone loves Brand New Day, right?
Well, I mean, it all depends. I mean, we got Secret War. You think about too, just to add this in here real quick, is the fact that like Falcon and the Winter Soldier was good. You know, it was at least one of the more decent series. It didn't have too much comedy in it.
Yeah, and it helped establish a lot more stuff coming for phase 4 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't finish it because halfway through I found myself disliking Winter Soldier and Falcon and feeling bad more for Walker, because Walker shows up, saves their asses, and goes, "Hey guys, I know it sucks that they made me Captain America. You guys knew him. Let's team up. Help me make this as good as I can." And because Falcon and Bucky are such butthurt little bitches in that show, they're like, "No, let us out right here. We're gonna walk the rest of the way." I was like, "Oh my god, guys, okay." So, and I get it, right? There's all the emotional stuff behind it and all that stuff. Maybe I'll go back and rewatch it, and it'll set better. At the time, it was not the right headspace. In that moment, I was like, "Wow, these are the guys I'm supposed to be rooting for. These two." And then the weird scene where they're sitting like with interlocked legs for what felt like 15 minutes. So, like I said, I didn't finish it, so I can't speak to the show overall. I just know that early on, for me, it was kind of rough. But I'll go back and try and give it a shot one of these days.
Ultimately, they wrap up a lot of stuff for Winter Soldier / Bucky, but in the end, it becomes Falcon's story.
Yeah,
Which it was going to, right? It was always going to be that, and I'm fine with that, right? I'm fine with Falcon. I think it's I've always thought it was kind of silly that Falcon had to take on the mantle of Cap. It just made more sense for him to stay his own man, but him taking on the shield, it's fine.
He was reluctant, at least in the story.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's fine him wanting to do that and take it on. I have no problems with that. It was like, and I get I guess it's supposed to be a sign of growth, but it's like you were given the shield, and then you gave away the shield, and now you're butthurt that someone else has the shield that you just gave away.
That's true.
Because you're so butthurt over what someone else's decision for this guy is, and he's not being an obnoxious asshole. He's not being this holier than thou person who's like lording it over you. "Hey, check it out. Look, I got the shield and you don't." He literally came to them, hat in hand, going, "Hey guys, I'm trying to do the right thing here. Will you help me out?" And the both of them gave him the finger. And by the end of that show, I get like he kind of turns into a bad guy in the sense that he starts killing people because his team gets wiped out or whatever, and it kind of drives him a little crazy. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, but you want to know how Bucky, how you and Falcon could have stopped that? If 4 episodes ago you'd been like, "Hey man, I really appreciate you coming to us like this. Yeah, let's team up and make this work as best." And I get that then the show doesn't happen. Then Falcon doesn't get this shield the way he does. Then we don't get the villain that Walker is in the comics or whatever. All that stuff. I get it. I'm not steeped in the lore. I'm just saying from a completely ignorant person for this storyline, for these characters and what's going on, those moments just made me not want to continue following those characters because they didn't feel like heroes. And I get it's Marvel, so they're supposed to be the imperfect heroes. They're supposed to be the ones with chips on their shoulders and addictions and problems, and it's all about the human method of working through it and growing and all that good stuff. That's fine. But again, at the time that I was trying to watch that show, those moments just drove me off, and I was like, I can't. I don't want to watch any more of this.
That's fair.
Don't care. So it's fine. Anyway, I'm sure your dad's going to be upset with that. Vince, look, I'm sorry that I don't love Marvel as much as y'all. I promise it's me. It's not you. I will do my best to not talk so badly of it. It's not bad. Again, it's just not my cup of lemonade. It's too sweet. And in other cases, I'm just ignorant. I'm ignorant. I apologize.
Well, the sad thing is with Gotham Knights, it's like, they went for that bitter stuff, but then they decided to, get some other tea that tastes like crap.
Because Batman needed another adopted son. He doesn't have enough of them, apparently.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's like that was one of the things that blew me away the first time I heard it. Somebody was talking about, they're like, oh yeah, the setup, this kid, he's Bruce's son. I was like, I'm sorry, who? I forgot. I don't even remember the dude's name. But I was like, I'm sorry, who is Bruce's kid in the show? I was like, that's not Dick, that's not Jason, that's not, that's not Tim, that's not Damien, it's not even redheaded chick from Frank Miller stuff. And they're like, yeah, it's somebody that they made up for the show. It's like,
not even Terry McGinnis, who's literally a clone.
Not even Terry. It's literally no one. It's some brand new asshole they decided to just insert into the show because,
or his own blood, Damien,
cares, right? And it's like, what do you? Again, goes back to what we said earlier.
And fiction, man.
It's a bunch of people who are wanting to tell their lame superhero story, but the only way anyone's going to care is if they dress it up in this other universe, but they don't want to play with those characters and those rules or anything else. They want to make up their own BS, and so they're just going to dress it up in the things that sound familiar and push it out there and say, hey, look, we made y'all a new Batman show. It's like, yeah, but Batman's not in it, and no one that I care about's in it, and everything about it looks awful. So thanks, but
the sad thing, it's not even Batwing. They could have done that.
Could have done there is a plethora. You could have gone completely crazy and done Huntress, right? Because technically she is a daughter of Bruce from what? Right, it's Earth 2. She's the daughter of Selena and Bruce, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's like you could have gone that route with it. But no, you made this completely other jobber and just threw him in there. Okay. And he didn't even know that he was Batman, I think. Right? That's what it seems like they're setting up, that he was completely ignorant of the fact that Bruce is Batman. It's like, so he's not even trained? What the hell is this show? This is terrible.
Exactly. It's going to be a train wreck.
And the thing that frustrates me the most about DC TV shows right now, I was promised the Green Lantern Corps.
Yes.
Years ago. Where is the Corps? Damn it.
Still in development.
God.
And John Diggle is not a Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Thank you for wasting 4 years of our life.
Okay. So let's wrap this up. But I did want to talk about something that I did play this weekend that I really enjoyed. And was a labor of love for what they did for it. But the new Turtles game, Shredder's Revenge. It's fantastic. Sprite work's amazing. The stories is fun. It's 6-player game, just like the old X-Men. It's got so many throwbacks to the cartoon. It's not funny. They even got most of the voice actors to come back. But it's great.
It's definitely a lot of fun. I was kind of sad. I was kind of sad whenever I read that apparently they don't have plans for any DLC for it. I was like, man, it would be like, I would love to see so many more characters done in the style that they created, right? So I'm hoping if they're not planning DLC, I'm hoping that it's at least selling well enough that they're going to be working on a sequel to it, right? And expand, like using, I don't even need it to look better, right? It already looks fantastic. Use what you've got and just continue building on it. And if you want to put out a second game in a couple of years that adds a whole bunch of new characters, maybe, brings back some of the old levels, right? Because that was one of the great things about it. Like you said, a lot of the throwbacks to how some of the levels were set up and some of the things that you see, right, were really cool. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I would love to see them expand on it.
All right, Vinny, is there an online play option for that game?
Yes, it's cross-play for Xbox and PC. But I did read an article this weekend that they're trying to work with Nintendo and Sony to make it completely cross-play across the board. So, which would be nice.
All right. Then send me the link for it, and I'll go look for it. That way, maybe we can set up a cross-play for that.
Yeah, that'd be cool to have the whole Down Level podcast crew just do a live stream of us playing it.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
You know, considering the fact that like I was talking to the guys about this weekend we were playing. It's like when the first arcade came out, it was me, you, Dad, and Paul went to Super Track,
Right.
played it until we beat it, and
Yep.
it was just such an amazing like game. And that like this game is just like a complete homage to it. Besides the cartoon, besides any of the other material that has been released for Turtles, I would love to see some skins done for it, like maybe like they do like animated versions of the movie versions of the characters.
Okay, baby.
Or
But hold on, Vince, if you did that, they would be humongous. Because
no,
you're
no,
talking
no.
about the Michael Bay ones, right?
No, I'm not talking about the Michael Bay ones at all. They would be huge. They'd be like bigger than Bebop and Rocksteady, huge. No,
I would really like to see them not really skin the current Turtles. I really want them to expand the roster, right? I would love to see Slash done, right? I would love to see I'd love to see them get in like Alopex, right? Like a bunch of the I love the variety of characters, right? So it would be really cool to see them start add in more characters. And then another thing that would be pretty neat would be kind of like what they did with Streets of Rage 4, where you started getting different variants to your special attacks.
mm-hmm.
So it'd be cool to see, you know, because all the level 3 supers in that game are pretty much the same move, right? It's a big sweeping area attack, which they all look really cool. They're all really well animated. It kind of makes some of the boss fights a little easy, but it'd be cool to see them expand those abilities and those attacks and give you the option, right, to go in and pick different ones that'll have different focus and stuff. So
the taunt system is broken in that game because you can completely do the taunt over and over again to get your special back really quickly. I haven't been able to figure out. We've been able to do it a couple times where you can do the combo attacks, but I haven't figured out how to get it to work just right. But yeah, I'd love to see like Mondo Gecko, Muckman, Yosagi, you know, some other people, you know, in this. I'd love to see a DLC, you know, expand upon this, you know, have the Fugitoids show up, and you got to do things off world even more than just the, you can even do the whole like Archie comic where they went onto the whole, what was it, the War Planet or whatever, where they were in the tournament and stuff. You know, that'd be really fun.
yeah,
I don't know. This game's great. They did a really good job. I was playing it before we started the podcast again. I just went through, and what's great is like, you know, you could just jump into your friend's game, and like if they've already beat it, you can go, oh yeah, let's go to Shredder so you can unlock me Casey, and just fight Shredder. You don't have to play any other level, and look, you got Casey unlocked. And Casey's great. I love playing him.
Yeah, Casey's really good. And that's why I would love to see them tackle other characters, right? Because Casey again, everything about all the characters, the way they're animated, all their attacks, the different ways that they play, right? It's like I would really love to see them expand and go even crazier with that.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, let's go ahead and wrap this up. This has been a good 2.5 hours.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, everyone. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I know we went in a complete rant about the Kenobi show and Star Wars and DC and Marvel and other things. It went on, but we hope we gave you some good insight. But if you like the show, you know, enjoy it. Don't like have our opinions of what's going on taint your enjoyment. But if you ever want more, you know, there's literally decades of Star Wars stories that are fantastic, that are 100 times better than what you're getting right now. And you know, if you want, tell us down below what you think about the show. What would you change? What you know, what's things that you would add to make it better? Do you think Disney should continue doing Star Wars? You know, should they shelve it for a little while so people can kind of have a little bit of a, because that was one of the things that made, you know, the prequels kind of a hit and miss for people, is the fact that we had like almost a decade, 2 decades of no Star Wars other than the video games, the comics, the books. nothing in film related material. So, but yeah, we hope you guys had a good time listening to this. We really enjoyed recording this one. Have a great one. Hopefully the 6th episode of Obi-Wan is great. But until then, have a great one, everyone. We'll catch you later. Bye.
Deuces.